All right, get ready to dive deep, because today we're tackling a topic that's gotten, well, a bit of a bad rap over the years. Lactate. You know that burning sensation you get during a tough workout? We used to think that was lactate, like sending out an SOS signal. Stop, hey?
You could.
Exactly. But what if I told you our bodies are actually fluent in lactate? What if it's not the villain we thought it was? You sent in some fascinating research on lactate, and I gotta say, it totally changed how I think about my workouts. So get ready to rewrite everything you thought you knew about this often misunderstood molecule, because we're about to go deep. And we've got a leading expert in exercise science joining us today to break it all down.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so for years we've been told that lactate buildup is basically public enemy number one for athletes, the main cause of muscle fatigue and those dreaded cramps. Where did that idea even come from?
Yeah, you're right. There's been a huge shift in how we understand lactate. The old waste product theory, it really came about because scientists noticed lactate levels spiking during intense exercise,
Yeah.
right? Like right when muscles start to fatigue.
Right. Makes sense.
But correlation isn't causation, right?
Okay, so what's the real story then?
It's not about avoiding lactate altogether, but about understanding how our bodies actually use it. And one of the biggest breakthroughs, the lactate shuttle.
The lactate shuttle.
Yeah. So instead of just, hanging out in the muscles causing trouble, lactate is constantly on the move, shuttling between different cells and even organs where it can be used as fuel.
Hold on, a lactate shuttle. So it's like our bodies have this whole energy highway system going on that we never even knew about.
Exactly. And it's way more complex than we ever imagined.
Yeah. Okay, I'm hooked. Give me the details. How did this lactate shuttle actually work?
Okay, so picture this. You're in the middle of a killer workout. Your fast-twitch muscle fibers, the ones we use for quick bursts of energy, they start producing lactate.
Right.
Now, here's where the shuttle comes in. Instead of just building up and causing problems, that lactate, it can actually be transported directly to your slow-twitch fibers, the ones that help us go the distance, and they can use it as fuel.
Wait, so it's like a relay race happening inside our muscle?
Pretty much.
That's insane.
It's incredible, and it gets even cooler. Our liver, it's like a lactate processing plant.
Okay.
It converts lactate back into glucose, energy through a process called the Cori cycle.
The Cori cycle. Right.
And then that newly formed glucose is sent straight back to the muscles for even more energy.
So it's like a fantastic recycling system for energy.
You got it. Our bodies are way more efficient than we give them credit for.
So instead of being this big, bad fatigue monster, lactate is actually helping us power through a workout.
You've got it.
My mind is officially blown.
And we're just getting started. This whole lactate shuttle thing, it's not just our muscles.
Oh.
It plays a huge role in how our brains function, too.
Really?
Yeah, you sent in some research on how lactate may actually boost brain power. And trust me, it's pretty remarkable.
So you're telling me this lactate shuttle, the one that's zipping energy around our muscles like it's nobody's business, is also active in our brains?
You got it. Our brains, they're energy hogs, constantly firing signals, keeping everything running. Turns out, lactate is actually essential for keeping those brain cells fueled up and ready to go.
Okay, color me intrigued. Tell me more about how this brain-boosting thing actually works.
So we need to introduce you to astrocytes.
Astrocytes.
Yeah, they're these star-shaped cells in the brain, and they act like support systems for our neurons.
Neurons, those are the ones transmitting all the information, right?
Exactly. And one of the things these astrocytes do, they take glucose from the blood, convert it into lactate, and then directly shuttle that lactate over to the neurons to use as fuel.
Hold on, are you saying our brain cells actually prefer lactate? I thought glucose was their go-to energy source.
It's a game changer, right? And this astrocyte neuron lactate shuttle, or ANLS for short, it's not just about, keeping the lights on in the brain. It's linked to things like neurotransmitter function, regulating blood flow in the brain, even protecting the brain from damage.
Wow, so that feeling of mental clarity you get after a great workout, maybe that's lactate at work in our brains.
Exactly. And this whole area of research, it's super promising, especially for anyone worried about cognitive health as they age. It's not just about physical performance, it's brain power too.
So we've got lactate powering our muscles, fueling our brains. What else can this wonder molecule do? You mentioned that my research also touched on cancer, and I have to admit, that's what really made me want to dive deeper.
Yeah, it's a complex and crucial area of research. And it all comes down to how cancer cells fuel themselves, which is actually different from healthy cells. To understand it, we need to talk about something called the Warburg effect.
Warburg effect, huh?
Yeah.
Sounds a little ominous.
Well, it is a bit, but it's named after Otto Warburg, A scientist who discovered that cancer cells have, let's say, a different energy strategy. See, normal cells, they prefer to generate energy through a process called oxidative phosphorylation.
Okay.
Think of it like a super efficient engine in your cells, using oxygen to create energy. But cancer cells, they often take a shortcut, relying more on glycolysis, breaking down glucose without oxygen, even when oxygen is readily available.
Okay, so that's where lactate comes in.
You got it. This glycolysis process that cancer cells love, it produces a lot of lactate as a byproduct.
Ah, I see.
And this creates an acidic environment around the tumor, which actually helps those cancer cells grow and spread more easily.
So the cancer cells are basically using lactate to fuel their own growth. That's a scary thought. What can we do about it?
That's the million-dollar question, and researchers are working hard to find answers. One promising avenue is developing therapies that specifically target lactate production or transport in those cancer cells.
So, like cutting off their fuel supply.
Exactly. There are ongoing studies looking at drugs that can block the enzymes involved in lactate production or interfere with those transporters that move lactate in and out of cells. The goal is to starve those cancer cells of their preferred energy source, while hopefully leaving healthy cells unharmed.
That's incredibly precise. So not only is lactate research changing how we think about exercise and the brain, it's potentially opening up entirely new ways to fight cancer.
It really speaks to the power of basic science and continuing to explore these really fundamental processes in our bodies. What seems like a simple molecule can have huge implications for our health in ways we never imagined.
This has been incredible. I mean, we went from lactate being the bad guy to like this essential element in how our bodies work, maybe even how we heal. It's amazing.
It really shows you how science is always discovering something new. It's not about being right or wrong, but about, following the evidence wherever it leads.
And the evidence is definitely leading us in some exciting directions. This whole deep dive has like really changed how I think about my workouts and even recovery. When I first sent in my research request, I was super intrigued by the lactate cancer connection, and it seems like we're really onto something there.
Oh, absolutely. It's a field that's like constantly evolving, and the research on those lactate targeting therapies, really promising. I mean, who knows? Maybe in the future we'll be talking about lactate as a key part of how we treat and manage cancer.
That's incredible when you think about it. Like you said before, something as simple as this one molecule can have these huge effects on our health.
It really makes you wonder what other uh, misunderstood molecules are out there just waiting to be discovered.
Right. What other secrets are our bodies hiding? Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive, any final thoughts for our listeners out there? Something for them to ponder.
Well, thinking about everything we've talked about today, about how lactate plays a part in energy, muscle recovery, even brain function, I would say, really think about how you approach exercise and nutrition. I mean, could strategically using lactate be the key to like better performance, better recovery?
Now, that is a question worth pondering and maybe worth experimenting with a little. It's like we've been given this whole new toolkit for understanding and optimizing our bodies. This has been an absolutely mind-blowing deep dive. From busting those old myths to exploring the latest research, we've gotten a whole new appreciation for this incredible molecule. A huge thank you to our expert for sharing their knowledge with us today, and to you, our listeners, for joining us on this journey of discovery. We'll see you next time when we dive deep into another fascinating topic. Until then, keep those brains engaged and those bodies moving.